So today we're continuing the Halachot of Zimun. Bezat Hashem will finish the Halachot of Zimun. And it's a bit of like we can call it a mishmash. We learned, we had more or less structured shiurim the last 2 times I think we learned. And now we have just a few things that we need to catch up on them, which we meet them quite often. So we will learn about it. We mentioned about women having a zimun that we mentioned. What about children? What about children having a zimun? Right? Or our grandchildren, or your grandchildren, right? We have grandchildren coming home. He's not a bar mitzvah. My son is just before bar mitzvah. He's 3 weeks to his bar mitzvah. Almost 4 weeks to his bar mitzvah. So let's say we have a guest for Shabbat. We have one adult. Can we have a zimun, or can't we have a zimun? And here we have a machloket between the Ashkenazim and the Sephardim. I remember when I was young, most of my friends were Sephardi in the school. So as soon as we had one bar mitzvah friend, 2 bar mitzvah friends, and one child, so one of the Sephardim used to do zimun. So we have a machloket between the Ashkenazi minhag and the Sephardi minhag. Can someone who's a child, can he join for a zimun, or can't he join for a zimun? The Sephardi minhag, as we said, as soon as he's in din chinuch, he knows who we're benching for. He's more than 6, maybe 7 years old. He can join a zimun. And the Ashkenazi minhag is only if there's 3 adults, bar mitzvah, only then the join for a zimun. Mentioned here, so it's not connected to zimun, but it's interesting halacha. What about the minyan? If we have 9 adults and 1 child, do we join the child for a minyan or no? So the Rama says that bishat adchak, in very, I can say, extreme cases, we can join have a child who's already, he knows who we're praying for, he can hold the Siddur, he can hold the Chumash, he knows. In special cases, we can make him join for a minyan. Usually, we don't have those special cases. When I lived in Kadima, so the rabbi of the city, Talmid Chacham, so I heard that he once, in one case, there was a bar mitzvah of non-religious people. He had 1 child joining for a zimun. If I mentioned my son, a few weeks ago, we were at my grandparents' house, in an old age house. And there was a person there who was sitting Shiva, and for most of the Shabbat, we had the minyan. Most of the Shabbat, we had the minyan. Good evening, Danny. How are you? Do you do zimun on seltzer or no? No, the answer is no. But what happens if 2 eat bread and 1 has seltzer? Can you join for a zimun? We'll answer that soon. Okay, so that's what we. So anyway, so we for Mariv and end of Shabbat, we were 9 and my son. I said, okay, that's a very extreme case. People who are waiting for a minyan, people who don't always daven. There's a person here sitting Shiva, he wants to say Kaddish. That is a very extreme case. We can have my son joining for a minyan. That's in really, really special cases. For Zimun, as we mentioned, for 3 people, we have 3 people. Thank you very much. 2 of them are adults, 1 of them is a child. For the Sephardim, we will join them for Zimun. For the Ashkenazim, we will not join them for Zimun.
Only 1 child.
Only 1 child, yeah.
5 children and 1 adult, or
No.
3 children.
What makes the case special? You said in special cases, or is it just the special cases that you're short?
The Rama writes b'shat adchak. Okay, what is shat adchak? It's a question. What's shat adchak? If
We're not required to have a zimun.
No, so not for zimun. I'm talking about a minyan for davening. Minyan for davening.
So then.
So in that case, where there's no way we would have gotten a 10th. We search around. There's no way to find a 10th person. And there's a person who's sitting Shiva. So that's a special case. Okay. Why is it? Yeah, he said Kaddish. He said Kaddish. Yeah, he said Kaddish. ברוך אתה, אדוני אלוהים מלך העולם, שהכל יהיה גרוע.
Okay.
The questions we will hopefully get to today are Yotze Bracha on, if it's recorded, not recorded for sure, but by Zoom. Hopefully we'll get to it today. What about a definition of Am Haaretz? Am Haaretz, someone who doesn't keep Torah and mitzvot. Can we join him for a zimun or no? Now, before we answer, so might be a bit tricky. The
could be a very judgmental answer.
It's very judgmental. Why judgmental?
who's to say that he's an Amahara?
Okay. So the criteria. So the Gemara in Brachot Daf Mem Zayin says that Am Haaretz does not join for Zimun. And the Gemara they brings different criteria as what is considered an Am Haaretz. And some of the Rabbi Meir Rabbi Meir is very strict. He says even someone who learned Torah, but he didn't really go to the rabbis and ask them all the questions, he's considered an Am Haaretz. But anyway, the Gemara says that Am Haaretz does not join for Zimun. Before we get to the halacha for today, we can remember a different halacha we learned, that the idea of the zimun is not just like a minyan. Everyone stands for himself and the daven and we're the minyan together. The idea of zimun is we eat together, we hang out together, we talk together, we laugh together, and we also praise. We try to uplift everything and praise Hashem together. Now, our sages said, 1 second, we don't want people now to start hanging out with the Amei Haaretz. They'll start following them, and they'll bring the meal to a lower level. We don't want that to happen. So they said, we don't join a zimun to Am Haaretz. But when in the times of Rishonim, that's already hundreds of years ago, times have changed. And you can see here an interesting halacha where sometimes, we do see times have changed. In the times of the Gemara, there's a huge gap between Amei Haaretz and the rabbis. So a huge gap. Rabbi Chacham, a huge gap between them. Maybe hate between them. Even if we separate from them, it won't cause any more hate because there's hate in any case.
Right. Chaverim versus the
yeah.
If they touch pottery or anything else, they were always suspect.
Right. So Truma, yeah. So Zimun doesn't cause anything, okay? You'll eat with them, you won't eat with them. In any case, you don't touch food that they touched, you don't eat food that they touched because of Tuma and Tahara, which they were very strict on the times of the Gemara. So don't do Zimun, okay? Big deal, nothing happened, okay?
Like a guy who goes to Aisha Torah,
Okay.
Like, hey, I don't know too much. And they say, yeah, but those don't touch the Torah.
Yeah, okay, so, okay.
They don't do that today.
You do today, okay? So today, or not just today, from the times of Rishonim already, if you don't have a Zimun with them, you don't eat with them, what will happen? You will cause the gap. You will cause them now to distance themselves from the Jewish world. Exactly, but even before the curve was invented, the Rishonim said today you shouldn't distance Amei Haaretz, and you can join with them for a Zimun. You can join for a Zimun. So any Jewish person who joins for a minyan can also join for a Zimun. Here, maybe someone who does averot lehachis. He's trying to show I'm anti-Jewish, I'm against Judaism, so that maybe he doesn't join a minyan, and also he probably doesn't join a minyan, and probably also does not join a zimun. Actually, probably also wouldn't want to. You actually have this halacha sometimes in the army, when you have very close friendships, which is amazing, really amazing, the close friendships. And then there's a person who, by definition, doesn't daven. He doesn't daven. He doesn't want to daven. He won't get hurt if you don't call him for a minyan. He doesn't. He not that he cares about it. He does not care about it, or he cares against it. So obviously we love him like any other Jew. We love them, but can I now go and ask him, please join me for a minyan? I have 9 people. Please make for me a minyan. And generally, why yes?
He's a Jew.
But he doesn't believe in it.
I have a friend, my best friend, religious,
People who don't like to go, there's people who don't like to go for minyan.
The question doesn't follow it.
So
Would
Why
this person want to join?
That's the question.
He
If
would. Let's say he
if
would.
the person wants to, then I don't see any reason.
so if the only reason he comes is just to make his friend happy, so he doesn't join a minyan. But if he comes and davens, then right.
It's like respect.
Respect. There's a difference between someone who stands there, he doesn't want to be there from his point of
How do
view.
you know that something won't click in him after being?
Yeah, but it's according to most Muslim, he doesn't join a minyan. But no, if he comes by himself, there's a difference. He comes by himself, or I ask him to come to make me a minyan. So he doesn't want to disappoint me. So he says, you know what, I'll come. But if the whole reason he's coming is just for me, so that who says he makes a minyan. If he comes to daven, Okay, these are two different things. Okay, and also he won't get offended because he doesn't want to come and daven. So why should I call him?
But he's still a Jew and he counts.
So here we have someone who davens for joins the minyan. He needs to believe in davening. He needs to believe in davening. Maybe for Kriyat Megillah, for things which we need 10 people, maybe he counts. But for davening for minyan, he needs to. Abad will not join someone for minyan if they force him to come for minyan. Like if he wants to come and daven baksha, that's different. They don't force him. I mean, if he doesn't want to daven and he's just coming because he feels doesn't feel comfortable.
You don't know what the effects of
Yeah.
very damaging.
I can ask him to join. But not to count him as 10. Again, there's a difference here, a very simple difference. If he comes from his perspective, or even if he comes and davens, wait, I won't say to him, no, that's great. But if he doesn't daven, he doesn't want to daven, he doesn't believe in davening, and the only reason he's coming is just because I'm asking you to come, so I can't count him to a minyan. That brings us to a different topic of tefillah. Okay, we are still in Zimun. What about, and that is a very, very common question, people who didn't eat bread? Okay, so Zimun, as we mentioned many times, is when we eat bread, when we have Birkat Hamazon. That's when we have Zimun. It's actually in our week's parsha. Right? So we eat, we praise Hashem after we eat. And we mentioned many times that the basic food is considered bread. It has proteins inside it. Wheat is actually, right, you can tell us, wheat is actually quite healthy. I'm sure you all right, so you might be surprised. Wheat is healthier than rice in some aspects, without talking about the gluten, okay? But there's more protein in wheat than rice. Okay, so wheat has quite a few things in it. So, right, okay, yeah.
Right.
Hey, you can make a motzion, right? Yeah, you can make a motzion. So let's say someone who for Zimun we need to have people who ate bread. What happens if we have a Zimun of 10, but only 7 out of them ate bread? That's more of a simple answer. So if we have 7 people who ate bread and 3 ate fruit or vegetables, or they ate something, or even if they ate a revit of important drink, not seltzer, okay, and that brings us to seltzer, and not water. It's something which is important, very important, beer, fruit juice, something important. So they can join the Zimun, and they can even say Nevarech Elokeinu she'achalnu shelo. They can even say Shem Hashem. But you have to have what is called in the halacha rov hanikar, which means a noticeable majority. So you have to have 7 out of 10. If we have only 6 out of 10, we don't say Nevarech Elokeinu. So yeah, we have to have a noticeable majority. What about 3? When we have 3 people, a Zimun of 3, 2 of them ate bread. The other one, he's on a diet, okay? Or he doesn't eat bread. He's gluten-free. Okay, he's gluten-free. Can we join a Zimun or no? And here we have a machloket. According to the Rambam, all of the 3 need to eat bread. It's just 3. We have to have some sort of base for a Zimun, so all the 3 need to eat bread. According to the Rif, and that's interesting, I'll tell you very soon why it's interesting, it's enough that the 3rd one will eat mezonot. Okay, and according to the Rosh, even if the 3rd one ate fruit or vegetables, that's fine. Why is it a very interesting argument here? Just because the rabbis who are arguing. The Shulchan Aruch has this idea, just a general knowledge of, he calls it Shlosha Amudei HaOra, the 3 pillars of halacha. The 3 pillars of halacha, and he goes by the majority of them. So if there's 2 against 1, he'll usually go by most of them. Who are the 3 pillars of halacha? The Rif, who here holds that the 3rd one can even eat mezonot. The Rambam, here he says the Rambam you need to eat bread. And the Rosh here is the most lenient. He said you can even eat fruit and vegetables. So it's interesting because here we have all the 3 pillars of Hora'ah, of Halakha, arguing between them. And what is even more interesting, the Rambam writes, Rambam follows the Rif. Okay, the rabbi of the Rambam is the Rif. And he writes that there's only a few places where he argues with the Rif. And here, he argues with the Rif. According to the Rambam, you have to eat bread. All of the 3 need to eat bread. according to the Rif, even if you ate mazonot. So it's interesting to have here the different ideas, different opinions.
Maybe the Rambam is defining the Mezuman as three people who ate bread from one of the five species of bread.
So for everyone, we have to have three people who ate bread, but sometimes we have, and we'll see it, it's in more halachot, we have like what batel berov. Like we have the same idea in kashrut. If we have two kosher things and one unkosher thing, sometimes we'll say, okay, it's a mixture and all the three are kosher, sometimes depending when. So it was also here, like the one he joins the three and he blends in, and it's as if we consider it as if he ate bread. For the Rambam, no, there's no such thing as everyone needs to eat bread. The Rosh who's the most lenient, even if one ate together with them. Halacha, what do you do for halacha? It is three people eating together. Lechatchila, the best thing is everyone eats bread. Okay, they can eat spilled. Okay, they can eat rye, whatever. Everyone eats bread. But if one of them ate just fruit or vegetables, that is also fine. So if we have two people who ate bread and one who ate fruit or vegetables, that's also fine, and we can also do a zimun. Yeah, that's also fine. Here we also have sometimes quite a common halacha. What happens if two ate bread and one joined them? Okay, one joined. They almost finished the meal. One came and I'm coming and having a cake together with you. Now do we have a zimun or no? That's also quite a common halacha. And instead today we're collecting many different halachot. And the answer is that if the two people already finished the meal, that's it. We finished them. We're done. We can't eat anymore. And then comes the third one and eats. So they finished eating. You finished eating. You can't now have another person joining you when you finished. But if they're still eating, even if he continues to eat after they finish eating, but they start eating, there's a period of time where all of them are eating together, or all of them are connected to the meal together, so they can join to a meal, and that's where we find that this halacha quite common. Maybe a place for that could be, I think, for sure. Sometimes we have it in Sheva Brachot. Let's say you have a Sheva Brachot, and you invite people for the desserts, okay? And let's say it's a very small family event, and you're 9 people. You had the desserts, and just before Birkat Hamazon comes the last person, or just he knocks around. You're having a family meal together, and there's a person coming in Shabbat and knocking and having a cup of seltzer. He wants to say l'chaim with seltzer with you, and he has cakes and he has other things just for the l'chaim with the seltzer, right? Do you have a zimun or no? And if you're still eating, so yeah, you can have a zimun. But if you're just about to say Birkat Hamazon, you're done eating, and then he comes, so there's no zimun. So that halacha can actually be quite common. I think also quite common in this neighborhood, because I did see people here sometimes like moving from house to house on Shabbat when it's not so hot outside, when you dare to take your nose out of the house, right? So that could happen. Another halacha which is connected to 2 and 1. Okay, 2 and 1. I think we mentioned last week, I'm not sure, I think we mentioned last week, or last time we learned, what happens when we have 3 people who are eating together, and one of them needs to go. It needs to go. So since they're eating together, they are obligated to do a zimun. So they can't leave until they do a zimun. If one needs to go, he should wait. He needs to wait. He can't force the other 2 people to stop eating. If 2 need to go, they could force the other person to stop eating. We're doing a zimun. So you can see again the idea of 2 and 1. Although the one person cannot force the other 2 people to stop eating and do for him a zimun, if they're willing, they can do it. They can stop a second and do a zimun, and he'll do a zimun, he'll bench, and they will continue eating. So that can happen. What happens if by mistake, and that also happens sometimes, by mistake, we have 3 people who ate bread. Okay, 3 people who ate bread, and by mistake, one of them benched beforehand. One of them benched beforehand. So we should differentiate here. If all of them ate bread, all of them are really part of the zimun, all of them ate bread, and by mistake, one of them benched beforehand, that's interesting halacha, there's still a zimun here. Because there was an obligation. All of them are obligated to do a zimun. The fact that one of them said, because Amazon, okay, his problem, he should stay there, they should do a zimun, and then they can do a zimun. But if that person, if the third person who by mistake benched already, he did not eat bread, he just ate fruit or vegetables, so, or even there's not, so that's it, there's no zimun anymore. Which means, if there's a very strong bond and obligation of zimun here, because all three of them ate bread, even if one of them by mistake said Birkat Hamazon, the obligation is still here. But if the bond isn't so strong, because one of them ate just mezonot, so as soon as the one who ate mezonot benched, that's it. The tie disappeared. There's no more zimun there. Okay, so that halacha also kind of makes sense. So someone who's medically challenged person,
Not definitely a male.
but not gonna stride.
Sorry?
Yeah, but here we have someone who's
The difference also too, I feel they don't allow because he has that kapana, he has that be much part. Here he's eating. That's the whole function of the zimun, and it's part of it. He's eating and enjoying.
yeah. So here it's an interesting question. The halacha, we have two categories that we can answer that question. One is cheresh, and one shoteh. Cheresh is someone who's deaf, and shoteh is someone who doesn't have mind. He doesn't know what you're doing. So let's go by cheresh. It's someone who's deaf. Now, typically in the time of the Gemara, someone who's deaf, he also doesn't understand. In the times of the Gemara, he has no way, unless very, very special cases, he's not connected to the. He doesn't know to read lips. What's the name of that woman? Helen Keller. Helen Keller, who was also blind and also deaf, but she was able to. Yeah. So today it's very, very different. It's very different. So someone who doesn't.
Very, very subtle change.
Yeah. So we'll give. Yeah.
The guy who we understand this doesn't say that.
Yeah. So if he doesn't understand and he can't talk, and if he also can't talk and he also doesn't understand what's happening around, so he doesn't join a zimun. He doesn't join a zimun. The same, by the way, for someone who's drunk, so drunk, he doesn't know what's happening there. Okay, he can't join a zimun. If someone over drunk on Purim, and he doesn't, if he knows what a zimun is, so he can join. Okay, he can join at least for 3. Okay, but if he doesn't know what's happening, he can't join a zimun. The same for someone who's deaf and he doesn't know what's happening. That's really drunk. Yeah. It's really drunk. Right. Yeah. So if it's tipsy, if he can speak in front of a king, if you can ask something serious, okay, he'll try more or less to he can join even for 10. If he's more tipsy than that, just for 3, not for a million, just for 3.
You're at a wedding. You don't want to wait for the official benching at the end. You try to gather the people at your table.
Yeah, we learned it last week. We'll repeat it again soon. But just someone who doesn't can't speak. Okay, he can hear the zimun, but he can't speak. He can't speak. Can he join a zimun or no? On one hand, he understands. He understands, right? You can count him for a minyan. Maybe he understands what's happening here. He can do a lot of the mitzvot also for you. Okay, he can trust him to shecht an animal or whatever. Right? Okay, but what about the zimun? So on one hand, he understands. So therefore, the Shulchan Aruch Harav writes that he can join a zimun. Okay, the Baal HaTanya writes he can join a zimun. On the other hand, if you remember, I think it was two weeks ago, we learned that the idea of Zimun comes, Kishem Hashem ekra havgodel Elokenu. When I call the name of Hashem, bring together with me, praise together with me the greatness of Hashem. So someone who can't talk, he can't praise together with us. So although we trust him in everything, according to many poskim, he can't join a Zimun. Yes, that's an interesting question. But someone who doesn't understand at all what's happening, he doesn't join a Zimun. If he can understand, so he joins the Zimun. If he can't talk, so we have here a machloket. What about the wedding? What about the wedding? And we'll continue. What about the wedding? So since we mentioned last week, we'll just answer it in a short question. Someone who needs to, we said beforehand, when we have an obligation of Zimun, we're supposed to stay there for the obligation. We have an obligation of Zimun. But someone who needs to go out, he has a mitzvah needs to do. He can't stay too late at night. He'll fall asleep. He can go. He can leave the zimun, and it's better. It's better that when he comes to the table, he'll have in mind he's coming to the table. He's eating at the table. He's not joining them for the zimun. So that's the best thing. What about having a zimun together at the table? We have a wedding with quite a few tables. Can we do a zimun of each table for its own?
You can join the table.
Okay. Or can we join? We join the table? We said in a wedding we can. We can.
We do that.
We join the table. Yeah. When we have one meal, everyone is part of one group. So even if they're sitting on different tables, they all join together. Okay. If each one is a group for itself, let's say you're sitting in a restaurant. Okay, and there's no connection between the different tables. So each table does a zimun for itself. But if it's a wedding or bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, or whatever, in the end, it's one meal. There's the same payment for that, same person paying. The people are moving from table to table. It's one group. Even although they're different families and different tables, you do join for a zimun. Yeah, so if they see each other, they can also join for a zimun. But again, if there's a connection between the groups, has to be a connection, right? So anyway, just about separating. Okay, well, 3 more minutes. So just about separating. So we mentioned last week that a person who knows he needs to leave early and he had in mind not to join for a zimun, he doesn't need to stay with them for a zimun. And they can also, a group like that can also do zimun, just three people together. If it's the whole table, 10 people together. One more halacha, and if we have time, so another one, but one more halacha which I wanted to get to. What part of Birkat HaMazon do we have to say out loud when we do a zimun? What part of Birkat HaMazon? So first, also, we should differentiate between the times of the Gemara and our times. Our times, each one has a siddur in front of him, and we can read, and most people can read, and each one can say Birkat HaMazon by himself. Not only that, it's easier for us. Technically, it's easier for us to say Birkat HaMazon by ourselves than try to concentrate on what the other person is doing. On the times of the Gemara, it was opposite. People didn't always know how to read. People did not have benches, and they were so used to listening to someone else, it was easier for them to listen to someone else and be yotze by their bracha. So maybe, what is it? Listen to him carefully, and be yotze by him. Maybe in the past, they used to listen better. We have to learn again what it is to listen. So in the time of the Gemara, there's better for the person doing a zimun to say all of Birkat HaMazon out loud. Everyone would be quiet, say amen after each bracha, and be yotze. But already the Rishonim write that today it's already harder for us, and we can't always listen to all what they say. Let's try it. Do an experiment. Next time we go to shul, we have Shmoneh Esrei, we have the Chazan repeating Shmoneh Esrei. How much time are we focused, let's say, even on the first 5 brachot of Shmoneh Esrei? It's very hard for us when we start drifting, thinking about other things. So today each one says Birkat HaMazon by himself. Lechatchila, it's better that we all try to say together. How do we say together? One says out loud, and everyone says softly with him, or everyone says together out loud. when I say Ala Michya here at Shul after Kiddush, I say out loud, I tell people, if you can say it by yourself, say it by yourself, okay? Because it's hard sometimes to listen to focus on someone else. But
Supposed to say the first paragraph.
what about the first paragraph? Okay, which brings it, and the question is about the first paragraph. When we have a zimun, what does the zimun include? Until where is the bracha of the zimun? And we are so used to the idea that because there's Birkat Hamazon, and beforehand we have the zimun, we don't even think of the opinion brought in the Gemara that the zimun includes also the first bracha of Birkat Hamazon. So there is an opinion in the Gemara that Hazayit Haolam Kulo B'Tovo, the first bracha of Birkat Hamazon, is part of the zimun. The Shulchan Aruch holds no, like Rav Nachman in the Gemara, that the zimun is what we call a zimun, and that's it. That's the zimun. So according to the Shulchan Aruch, the person saying the zimun does not need to say the Birkat Hamazon out loud, because as soon as he said the zimun, that's it. We finished the zimun. The Rama says, and that, or he brings also the other opinion in the Gemara, that the zimun itself, okay, the zimun includes also the first bracha of Birkat Hamazon. So according to the Rama, you need to say the first bracha out loud. Okay, but
that's according to Ashkenazi practice.
That's according to Ashkenazi practice, right? The first three brachot are the Oraita, the last one is the Rabbanan. Okay, that's for sure. But we say all of them are part of Birkat Hamazon. Okay, all of them are part of Birkat Hamazon. There's one more halacha I want to mention. If anyway, okay. So the Mishnah Berurah brings at least this halacha that you should say Birkat Hazan out loud. Okay, out loud. They must say all the people and makpid on it, and they just say Birkat Zimun, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. Because even inside the Rama, even inside the Ashkenazi, some hold, oh no, it's only people who have to leave and people who are staying there. But if everyone's benching now, so you don't have to have all here all of the first bracha. So lechatchila, the person who says Birkat Hamazon should say the bracha out loud. But if he can't, or if you don't hear it, so it's fine. Yes, that's we'll finish here. We'll conclude here. I should have